Of course, one way in which the fund can achieve an exit is if the directors themselves buy the shares back. And that happened, in fact, in one of our successful investments, again in the television sector. And in such a case, the company itself is not buying the shares. The directors, as individuals or some person associated with them, is raising money, possibly on the value of their own share of the company, to acquire the fund shares. But the net result is that they recover that share of the equity that the fund had, and the fund ends up with money, which we can redeploy in further investments. Of course, the fund wants entrepreneurs. It wants to encourage entrepreneurship. It wants to receive applications for investment from people who are really going to go somewhere. And actually, those people have a kind of virtuous greed. They want to make as much money as possible. They want their company to be as successful as possible, and they want to be as successful as possible. So they don't actually want to be working for the fund. They don't want to have, might have 30% of their company, and if they're a proper entrepreneur, they're going to say, well, actually, as soon as I can get that 30% back, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's because I can make more out of my company, and the more of the company I have, the more I can make. And that's absolutely what the fund wants its applicants to do. We want them to get rid of us and make us rich in the process. We decided to simplify the investment approach. We just invest in ordinary shares like any ordinary investor. We also make some loans. We have made loans where a company has come back to us to seek the second tranche of its investment, and it has not been able to achieve the commercial results that it expected to, that it told us it would. In that circumstance, to protect the interests of the fund, we have sometimes thought it was better simply to lend the money that they were seeking with the hope of getting it back at a later stage, rather than making a further equity investment. But that's a matter of judgment from case to case. We're still, in principle, an equity fund, and we want to see businesses grow and bear money fruit. I think the thing that has been a theme throughout our experience of the fund is the importance of investment readiness and the difficulty for creative businesses, perhaps all businesses, but I think especially creative businesses, to achieve the level of preparedness that allows them to prepare and persuade an investor that they are ready for investment. So it's not just a question of competence, it's are they at a point where they can make use of the investment. And our system of assigning a consultant to work with the applicant very thoroughly, I think has stood the test of time. The consultants work closely with applicants. They work with me and with our finance director, Karen Stokes. And at the end of the process, we have, I think, a compelling argument for investment which can be put to the board with some confidence. And in that process, even if at the end of the day the applicant is not in a position to go through with the application, the process of getting ready is of itself very valuable. It's a form of consultancy. And so the businesses that we've worked with in whom we did not invest, nonetheless, I think have achieved a considerable amount of learning from going through that process with us.